coordinator Rick Bowie. We'll go ahead and jump into questions. Cole, you want to start?
Sure, Coach. Obviously, last game was the first time in a while that the team hadn't scored a touchdown. How do you kind of fix these offensive struggles going into this next game?
Yeah, we got to execute. We got to execute, get back to work and practice, and dial into the things that we need to do to improve. Turnovers had a lot to do with that. You can't turn the ball over 3 times. You can't turn them over where we did as well. Where you did in the low red. Those are points that are directly being taken off the field and taken off the board. And we need to get that fixed.
Some of those interceptions, just looking at him too, was he throwing in? Was he trying to force it into coverage, or did they just get jumped on the route? What went on with those?
Yeah, I think
one of them was tipped.
Yeah, a lot of decision-making stuff we got to clean up. I think you just can't press in those situations. Mav and I have talked a lot about that. Got to let the game come to you and take what the defense gives you. And in those areas, I think we pressed a little bit, so we got to get that decision-making fixed.
You've been with Maverick for a couple of years now. Do you feel like he's able to bounce back at a confident level coming into this next game?
Yeah, no doubt. Tons of confidence in Maverick. The kid has been through a lot, played a lot of ball. I think this game is really difficult. That's why it makes it so great. And you're going to have times where you need to bounce back. The game's never easy. So he's responded to that adversity quite a bit, and I think he'll do just that.
Just looking at this Louisiana Tech team, kind of regarded as probably the best defense in the conference this year, certainly one of them. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on what you've seen from them so far?
Yeah, the numbers speak for themselves. Points are hard to come by. I think you got to embrace those types of challenges and look forward to them. It's a great combination between being very talented. They got really, really good players, and they do a great job schematically to try to confuse people. And I think that's something that when you put the two together, you see the success that they've had. Excited for that challenge, and this league's pretty good. I think you saw that last week, and so excited for the chance to get back out there and get back to compete.
What is something you're kind of focusing on this work week in practice for this game?
Yeah, you can't turn it over. You know what I mean? Like I said, we got to find key moments in the game to execute. At times they say not every snap is equal. And so you got to do a great job on third down to extend drives. Like you said, we moved it at times in that game, but then when you get down and you got to try to actually score, you can't turn the ball over in those key situations. And we did that twice down there in the red area. So that'll be a big emphasis to protect the football, give our defense a chance, and when we do that, I think we'll snap back.
You guys hit a deep shot first play from scrimmage to Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see a lot more of those the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just something they were doing that prevented that?
Yeah, you just try to give yourself the best chance according to what you see defensively. And I think with that being the case, there's times on a lot of football plays there's a guy running down there. You know what I mean? Very rarely do you have nobody that's pressing the field vertically at all. So frequently in the passing game, there's somebody that's going down there. It just doesn't mean necessarily that they're open or the coverage dictates that that's where the ball should go. So it's a little combination of both.
Post-game, Noah brought up that it was kind of like a humbling game for them in all aspects of the game. Do you kind of find gratitude in that it happened this point in the season, that you have some time to work on it before you get to the end of the year?
Sure, yeah. I think, like you said, you can't show up and expect to beat anybody, right? Especially in league, this is FBS ball, you know what I mean? So I think humbling is something that happens frequently over the course of a game, I would imagine, just because of when you're playing good teams, those things happen. I'm certainly excited about getting back to work and turning the page.
I think you guys are going to lose Wright for the first half of this game, right, for the ejection.
I don't know that. That would be a question for Coach Helton.
Okay. All right. If that were the case, who would be the next guy that sort of factors into that rotation?
Yeah, so I think we're pretty deep in that running back room. I think you've seen a lot of different guys at a lot of different times. And so with that being said, I think there's a multitude of people that'll step up. I think mostly people you've seen to this point. George has done a great job for us. Marvis has done a great job for us. A lot of those guys will continue to carry the rock. Running back across the country is usually that committee type just because of the physicality that position kind of requires. So I think you'll see a lot of the similar names that you've seen. I might be wrong, but I don't think he'll miss much. I think that might just be a targeting rule. But I'm almost positive of that, but it's not really my spot to say.
Okay.
He brought up to Coach earlier about the La Tech game last year. It was a tough loss for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you can take watching film from that game about maybe like tendencies, schemes for La Tech, that defense?
Yeah, certainly. You take all the data points you can get. so I've certainly watched it. Familiar with it from a personnel perspective. There's some subtle differences, obviously, from a coaching perspective. But with that said, I think that there's some similarities as well. All the data points you can use, you certainly take. And yeah, we looked into that a little bit.
Just looking at this last game too, as far as your receivers went, were you guys getting the separation that you needed in that game throughout, or was it consistent, or how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to general execution, right? There's a lot that goes into throwing the football well, and I don't think you can solely put it on that group in terms of getting separation. There's timing components to it. There's protection components to it. There's spacing and all that stuff. So, I think in general, we just got to execute as a whole. I think when you watch that game, frequently I always say we just took turns. So every single position group had to play where I always say the beauty of offense is that it takes 11 guys executing to be successful. You can't win on effort alone. You got to throw and catch. You got to make sure your targeting's right. Everybody has their own job to do. And when 10 do it right, it's not going to be a very good play. So I think we kind of took turns at different times when not executing, and that's what we got to get cleaned up.
Obviously, we're wanting to see a better performance bounce back. But how have you seen the players, rebound their mentality, their morale after this game up until this point?
Yeah, I think it's been good. I think, you heard Coach Helton, we don't have a choice. This is the expectation. You got a game each week, and you got to show up and perform. If you blink, you'll get replaced pretty quick. You don't really have a choice. That's life. That's football. You respond because you don't have any other option.